Japanese booze. Look at all this lovely whiskey here. Now, a lot of people who visit Japan ask me, why are there so many places that sell alcohol? From izakayas, which are small cafe, bar, restaurant type places, to vending machines. Well, the reason is, it's not difficult to get a license to sell alcohol in Japan. All you need is a food and drink hygiene license, which you can get from taking a one-day course that costs about $60. And that's all you need to sell alcohol in Japan. Alcohol is also very cheap in Japan. These 4-liter bottles of whiskey, which I'm looking at now, cost about $25 each. Yes, $25 for 4 liters of delicious whiskey. So that's why there are so many places selling alcohol. In Japan, it's cheap and it's easy to sell. Japanese medal machines. Look at all that lovely, lovely money. Well, it isn't actually money. They're called medals in Japan, what most people would call tokens in other countries. In Japanese amusement arcades, there are lots of medal machines like this, which are usually coin pushers. You take your money to the medal change machine and change all your Japanese yen into medals. Then you can play the game by putting medals inside. Coins don't fit in these machines, and they're really for amusement only. They are not a form of gambling. Japan has very strict gambling laws. But when you've finished amusing yourself with a medal machine, you can take your remaining medals and either change them back into real money or get a prize from the prize selection area. I'm not a big fan of medal games, but they do look very interesting and very exciting. Japanese parking blocks. Now here I am inside a Japanese multi-story car park, and as you can see, everyone reverse parks in Japan. Why they reverse park, I don't know. It's just the way they do things. But what I really want to show you are these things. These giant concrete blocks all over the floor. What are they for? Well, they're for the reverse parking. You pull up to them and you know when to stop reversing because your back wheels hit the block. Now imagine you're in a car park in the dark, outside, and there are not many cars in there and you're walking around. What's going to happen? You're going to trip over these blocks. And I've tripped over them at least a dozen times. Japanese parking blocks. They're kind of booby traps in every car park at night, especially when you've had a few drinks. What are we looking at here? Well, I'm in a supermarket in Japan, and this is their fine selection of dried seaweed. Seaweed is used in so many Japanese dishes, and one of the most famous ones is an onigiri, which is a rice ball, a kind of sandwich made with rice and some kind of fish, and then wrapped in some dried seaweed. And here at the top, just where we're going now, is a packet of dried seaweed sheets. Now, I can't stand seaweed, I'm afraid, and you have to be careful because seaweed appears everywhere in Japanese food, even in salads. Yes, I bought a lovely looking salad and tucked in and found out that they'd snuck some pieces of seaweed in there for me. So there you go, Japanese seaweed, or nori as it's known here. Japanese payphones. Now, this is a Japanese payphone. As you can see, they're green and they have a very simple design, not very colourful, not very decorative, not very interesting really, but they're usually in these plastic cases, and you find them outside convenience stores and in train stations and bus stations. They only take 10 yen and 100 yen coins, and some of them you cannot make international phone calls. Now, how do you know? Well, I'm afraid you have to read that writing under the coin slot there. So some of them don't make international calls. Be careful. A lot of people still use these, especially older people who don't have a mobile phone and don't make or receive enough phone calls to justify paying for a landline phone. So there you go, Japanese payphones. Japanese drinks. Now here I have two very popular drinks in Japan. Two soft drinks, they're non-alcoholic. But if you look at the names of these products, you can see that the marketing departments of these companies didn't really think about any connotations in English. Let's look at the first drink over here. Now this sort of milky coloured drink is called Calpis. Calpis. Now, the letters P-I-S in English obviously sound like P-I-S-S, which is a slang word for urine. So you've got cal urine there, Calpis. And over to the other one, the marketing department obviously thought, because this is an energy drink, you may drink it in a gym. So they've called it Pocari Sweat. But again, the word sweat in English has a very different kind of image, not something you would want to drink. Japanese pachinko. Now here is a modern day example of a Japanese pachinko machine. And as you can see, it's mostly dominated by the screen in the center. The playfield where the steel balls actually move around is now limited to just around the screen. And at the center there is the win hole. The win hole just triggers a random feature on the screen. And it's all about luck, basically. There are no skills really involved in pachinko. Here's the dial that controls the speed of the balls, and as you can see, it takes a tiny amount of pressure just to turn the wheel. And most players don't even turn it. They just hold it in one position and just stare at the screen, waiting for a random win feature to appear. Now, why is pachinko so popular in Japan? Well, it's one of the few legal forms of gambling in the whole country. Japanese tools. Here I am in a Japanese DIY store, and I'm looking at all the unusual shaped Japanese tools that you find here. If we look on the left over here, there are some giant wooden mallets which are used for knocking the frames together of Japanese houses when you build a new house. But I know what everyone wants to see is ninja weapons. Yes, ninja weapons. Now, these are called kana, and you find them in every Japanese DIY store, and it's a kind of small hand scythe, which is used in gardens and farming. But if there are any budding ninjas watching this video, now you know where to find your ninja weapons. In the DIY store. Ninja, ninja, ninja! Japanese legless chairs. Now, are they car seats? No, they're not. I'm actually looking at some chairs in a furniture store here in Japan. Now, you may have noticed there's one thing missing from all these chairs, and that's legs. Yes, they are legless Japanese chairs. Do the legs come in a box later for you to attach? No, they don't. You don't get any legs. A lot of people sit on the floor in Japan, so they do have specially designed floor chairs, which don't have legs, and they're very popular. I myself use a legless chair every day. So why do I use a legless chair? Well, it's to support your back. You need something to support your back when you're sitting on the floor. And it's much more comfortable to sit on one of these classic Japanese legless chairs, which are the same price as a regular chair. Some of them are very comfortable. Japanese fuel. Now, what's this? Is it a gas station, a petrol station? No, it isn't. It's a kerosene or paraffin filling station. And you find these at DIY stores in Japan. Now, why would you need a filling station for kerosene or paraffin, which are not very popular fuel types anymore? Well, in Japan, they still are incredibly popular. And people use home heaters, which use kerosene, and they burn it in their houses to keep their houses warm. I think these Japanese heating systems are incredibly outdated and also dangerous, as you have to ventilate the room you're heating every few hours. And they're also full of flammable liquids. Not a great idea to have something full of flammable liquids in a country that has a lot of earthquakes. Japanese washing machines. Here I am looking at some washing machines in Japan in a big store, and you can see the prices range from about 40,000 to 60,000 yen here, which is $400 or 300 pounds. Japanese people do live in small apartments, so they need smaller washing machines. And they also don't have basement laundry rooms, because Japanese houses don't have basements because of earthquakes. So you'll find a tiny little room, usually next to the bathroom, which is the laundry room. Now, my washing machine is a bit older than this, and it doesn't have the transparent door on the top, but it is a top loader. Japanese top loaders are very popular, and front loaders are not popular. So there you go, washing machines in Japan. Oh, I like this one. It looks like a porthole on a ship.